Izzy Gizmo by Pip Jones. Izzy Gizmo, a girl who loved to invent, carried her tool bag wherever she went, in case she discovered a thing to be mended or a gadget to tweak to make it more splendid. But the trouble with things that have dials and switches is they don't always work. They have certain glitches. The T-Mendus, for instance, did such a fine job till out popped a piston and off dropped a knob. Then the swirly Spagsonic for eating spaghetti turned Grandpapa's wallpaper into confetti. The Beardtastic had Grandpa near perfectly styled till the foam overflowed and the clippers went wild. Well, Isabel, who was so clever and bright, would get rather cross when things didn't go right, and she huffed, "It's a duff. I've had it. I quit." She kicked her invention and called it a twit. Isabel fumed. Grandpa smiled and chuckled. "You can't give up just 'cause that thingy bob buckled. Now trust me, young lady, sometimes you need to try again and again if you want to succeed." Perhaps Grandpa was right, but still Isabel sighed. She picked up her tool bag and wandered outside. Kicking the stones on the path as she walked, Izzy jumped at a bump. Up ahead, something squawked. From the clouds a poor crow had taken a tumble and landed kapoof in a feathery jumble. Izzy ran to the vet, but the vet shook his head. "His wings are too broken to fix," the vet said. "Perhaps take him home and there you could try to teach him to live as a crow who can't fly." Day after day, Izzy thought she had found something fun for her crow to do on the ground, like digging for worms and racing fat slugs, hopscotch and hula hoop and searching for bugs. But the heartbroken crow simply gazed at the sky as the other birds sang and flew happily by. One night, with the crow in the folds of her sweater, Izzy sighed, "Oh, I wish I could make him feel better. I've tried. He won't play, he won't drink, he won't eat." She was so close to very admitting defeat. Grandpa said, "Izzy, don't give up on him now. I know you can do it. Just work out how." Then Grandpa passed Izzy her gadgety things, and she knew what to do. "I'll invent some new wings." Izzy piled up her books and she started to read. Then she made a long list of the things she would need. She searched for some batteries and old electronics, dismantled a mixer and the swirly Spagsonic. The crow watched entranced, and he held Izzy's drill while she bent, bashed and battered and walloped until, ta-da! Izzy fastened the wings with a strap, but they hummed and they twitched, far too heavy to flap. "Ugh!" Izzy yelled. "I'm not good at succeeding." The crow softly cawed, his beady eyes pleading. "What now?" Izzy sighed. "Try again," Grandpa said. "Okay, follow me." And with that, off she sped. Izzy dived in a pond where she borrowed a pump. Then she took from an engine 2 sprockets, a sump. Izzy fastened the wings. They were light, they were curvy, but the wings the wrong shape turned the crow topsy-turvy. "I give up!" Izzy yelled with a furious frown. The crow sadly cawed as he hung upside down. So Izzy unscrewed the head from the shower, found special circuits to adjust the wing's power, and finally, using her trusty old pliers, she borrowed the motors from 2 big blow dryers. "Yes," Izzy said, "the right shape, perfect weight," but one wing flapped madly. The crow couldn't fly straight. "I've had it," yelled Izzy, heading straight for the bin, but the crow blocked her path. He just wouldn't give in. Izzy twizzled and tinkered, and using his beak, the tip-tapping crow gave the screws a good tweak. Then he loosened the cog from Grandpa's old mixer. "You can fly!" Izzy cried. "Oh, your name should be Fixer." After 2 loop-the-loops, Fixer came into land and stood happily cawing upon Izzy's hand. "You've tried very hard," Grandpa said, "and succeeded. You kept at it, Izzy. You did what was needed. But don't pack up your tools. Your day's not quite ended. A few things around here now need to be mended." Hi, so today we are going to look at 2 suffixes. Now, a suffix is a group of letters that go on the end of a word and they change the meaning of that word. So today we are looking at ed and ing. Now, both of these suffixes are used on the end of verbs. Now, verbs are doing or being words. Today we are thinking more so about the doing element. And unfortunately, like anything, it's not a hard and fast rule that can be applied to absolutely everything, because there are irregular verbs. There are verbs that don't work in the same way. But generally, when we add ed onto a verb, it shows that it happened in the past. And if we use ing, then it shows that it's happening now. So before we can delve into the world of adding our suffixes on, we need to come up with a list with a few verbs that we can add the suffixes onto. So I can use the word talk. At the moment I am talking, so I know that that one will work. I can also use the word look. Let's use one more. So at the moment I'm writing, so let's use the word write, and then we can look at why that doesn't always work, because it is an irregular word. So here are my verbs. So I just picked 3 to start with, and then to turn it into showing that it is happening right now, we add ing, and if it ends in a consonant, then it is as simple as that. So the vowels are A, E, I, O and U, and all the other letters are consonants, and if it ends in a consonant, it is as simple as we add ing on the end. So talk becomes talking and look becomes looking. But write does become writing, but we don't have an E and an I together. So what we do is we lose the E and we add ing. So if it ends in an E, we lose the E, add ing. There we go, look. So talking, looking, writing. The verb to talk, to look and to write, and the ing version of that shows that it's happening right now. So I might use this if I was talking about what I'm doing now. I might use it if I was writing a story, or in a letter. If I'm talking about the state of the world, I might talk about what's happening now. So ing shows that something is happening now. We can change that. So if I get rid of my ings, and we can add our other suffix, which is ed, to show that something has already happened. So it happened in the past. Now, so talk becomes talked, looked becomes looked. Now, depending on the way that you pronounce things, it will either sound like it should just be a D or that it should be a T. When I say looked, it sounds like a T, but it's not. I know because it happened in the past, it's ED. But then this one doesn't work because, well, I wouldn't need to add an E anyway because there's already an E there. So I would just add a D. But the word righted is not a verb. It's not grammatically correct. Instead, the word for writing in the past would be I wrote. So we get rid of the entire thing. I wrote a letter. So there are words that it doesn't apply for. There will always be irregular words, but it is a rule that does work for lots of words. So let's see if we can come up with a little bank of verbs, of doing words. So of things that we can do, and then we will see how many of them we can turn into the past tense, so they already happened, by adding ed, well done, and how many of them we can say are happening right now by adding ing. So let's have 30 seconds and let's see how many verbs we can come up with during that time. If you don't have something to write with and write on, then now is the time to get it, because you will then be able to practice adding the suffixes onto the end once we've got a bank of words. Let's see how many we can get then. Let's try not to use the ones that we already use. So, or I'm going to use the word eat and meet, sing, jump, or say no. Probably for now, we can use these ones. Okay, so at the moment I have all of my words written down. What I'm going to try and do is to see if adding ing and ed works for these words to turn them into the present tense, what's happening now, and the past tense already happened. So I can try, or eating I'm happy with. Eated I'm not so happy with, because the grammatically correct version of that is ate. I ate. Meet is the same. Meeting works. Meted doesn't. I met. Oh no, I didn't choose very well at all. Singing absolutely works, but singing became sang. Jump, jumping, yeah. And jumped works as well. So when we're coming to write those words, all we do is we write the base word that we already had, and then we add the ed or the ing onto the end. Let's try walk together. So walking, and then walked. Yeah, so here, eating, I wrote the word eat, and then I just add ing on the end. The same with meeting, and singing, and jumping, and walking. But then my ed ones, I chose some irregular ones that didn't quite work, but jumped did, so I just write jump and have ed on the end, and walk did, so I write walk and have ed on the end of that. Okay, let's see if we can put some of our words into sentences. So we will either be using ing, or we will be using ed because it happened in the past. So ed, past, ing, now. Okay, let's see if we can. Right, the story that I read this week was about Izzy Gizmo, who is a little girl who likes to make inventions and fix things. And there was a crow in the story as well. So maybe we'll write about them. So I'm going to write about the crow now. So which suffix will I need if I'm writing about the crow now? Absolutely, I will need ing. So if you listen to the story and you can think of your own sentence, write your own. If not, you can join in with mine. That's absolutely fine. I am going to write, the crow is flapping his wings and swishing his tail. So my verbs there are flap and swish. So the crow is flapping his wings and swishing his tail. Remember that a sentence always needs to start with a capital letter, and it needs finger spaces in between each of the words that we are writing. So the crow is flapping. Oh, now in that case, I actually need to double the P because it ends in a consonant. It wouldn't work otherwise. Because it ends in a P, I need two of them. So the crow is flapping his wings and swishing. So we write the word swish, and then we add the suffix. Swish. Swishing his tail, but his black tail. We'll make it a better sentence. And it is a statement, so it will need a full stop at the end. So here we had the crow is flapping, so here's my ing word, his wings, and swishing his tail. Now this one, I literally just added the ing onto the end of. This one, because it ended in P, I needed to double the P before I add ing. How did you get on with yours? They're great sentences, well done. Okay, what about then one where things have already happened, one where they all happened in the past? What could we write there? I think I'm going to write about Izzy. So, because she was frustrated. So I'm going to use that word. So Izzy was frustrated with her inventions. Yeah, should we start with that? And maybe we can add some more. Yeah, capital letter, because it's the beginning of a sentence, but also because it's the beginning of her name. So it would need a capital letter wherever it was. So Izzy was frustrated. So frustrate ends in an E, so we don't need to add ed. The E is already there, we just add the D. So Izzy was frustrated with her inventions and sulked in her room. Right, okay. Sulk. Just needs ed on the end of the word. Sulk, sulked in her room. What sort of sentence? It's a statement, therefore it needs a full stop, which is the little dot that sits at the bottom of all of those letters. So Izzy was frustrated with her inventions and sulked in her room. Okay, I am going to write a sentence And inevitably, there will be some mistakes in it, because that is often the way. When it comes to writing, we make mistakes and then we have to correct them. So I am going to write a sentence with some mistakes in it and see if you can work out where the mistakes are, and we'll correct them together. Maybe, I know, I'll tell you what my sentence says as I write it, and then you'll know for when it comes to reading it. So, Grandpa needed a new hat for flying with the black crow. Okay. Grandpa needed a new hat for flying with the black crow. Grandpa absolutely is at the beginning of the sentence. And also, if we're using Grandpa as his name, then it would still need to be capital, wouldn't it? So Grandpa needed a new hat. Can you see any of this? Oh no, look. I told you that would happen. It sounds like it should be, but it's not. It's Edie. He needed a new hat for flying. Why is that a capital? It's in the middle of a sentence. It's not a name. So he needed a new hat for flying, or let's just check flying. Is it right? Yep, it absolutely is. With the black crow. Oh, am I asking a question? Am I trying to find out more? So the question mark is absolutely wrong and needs to be replaced with a full stop. There we go. That's better. So ED happened in the past, ING happening now. Well done. You did a super job. Whatever you do with the rest of your day, have a great one. Bye-bye. Hi. So today we are going to have a look at doing some adding, but we're thinking about adding in our heads. So if you want to write the number sentences and the answers down, then you can go and get something to write with and something to write on, but you don't need to, because our focus is on ways that we can add quickly in our heads. We are going to need two signs today. We are going to need this one and this one. We need to know what they mean. This one here just means equals. It just means is the same as. So whatever is on this side will be the same as whatever is on this side. This one has so many different words that mean that. We could say add, addition, sum, total, more than, count on. Whew, there are lots of words that mean the same, but fundamentally it means this and this put together. And that's what we're going to work on today. We're going to work on trying to do that in our heads. And there will be some things that will be really, really useful for that. One of those is remembering all the different ways to make 10 and number bonds to 10. So let's see if we can have a really quick practice of the different ways that we can make 10. I am going to show you a number and then shout out at me the number that you would add to it to make 10. Exactly, 10. 0 and 10. 1 and 9, well done. 2 and 8, well done. 3 and 7. 4 and 6. 5 and 5. These are just the reverse ones. Well done, great remembering. 6 and 4. 7 and 3. 8 and 2. 9 and 1. And if I had 10, what would I add to the 10? 0. I wouldn't have to add anything on. Well done. Something else that might be useful for us is our number bonds to 20. So let's do you know what? Let's do it in exactly the same way. So if I had 1, I would need 19. Well done. 2, I would need 18. 3, 17. 4, 16. 5, 15.
6, 14, 7, 13. You're doing such a great job. 8, 12, 9, 11, 10, 10 and 10. 11. Can't make that on my number fan. 11. I would need 9. Well done. 12. I would need 8. 13. I would need 7. 14. Oh, 14. I would need 6. Well done. 15. I would need 5. 16. I would need 4. 17. I would need 3. 18. I would need 2. And 19. I would need 1. If you struggled with some of those number ones to 20, then don't forget that we can use the number ones to 10 to help us, because we know that 10 and 10 make 20. So we just need to make sure that we have 2 10s. So if it's a teen number, so if we've got 15, well, we know that's 10, so we just have to make that 10. So we have to add 5 to it to make it 10. And then the other way round, if we had 5, well, we know that we need to add 5 to that to make, we need to add 5 to that to make 10, but then we also need to add another 10 because we need 2 10s to make 20. So from 5 we would get 15. So as long as you know your number ones to 10, you can use that to help you. So that's one thing that will be really, really useful. What we are going to do is, if I write a number sentence here, so if I do 74 add 6, in fact, let's do 74 and let's just add 7 to it for now. So I know that 4 and 6 make 10. So 7 definitely has 6 in it, but if I take 6 of them, how many more would be left? Yeah, there would be 1 left. So I'm going to use those 6 and I'm going to add them to this 4 to make 10. So what would be the next tens number after 70? Yeah, I would have 80, but then I've only used that bit. I haven't used this bit. So I've got to have 1 more. So 81. So I can round and adjust. So if I was doing 26 add 5, I can do exactly the same thing. So I know that 6 and 4 make 10, or I know that 5 and 5 make 10. I can do it either way. So I can take one of them off and then I can add, and then I can make sure that I put it back on afterwards, because that will make my life easier. So 25 add 5 would be 30. And then I've just got 1 more. So I would have 31. And I can do that even if it's a bit bigger. So even if the number that I had was, for example, if I had, hang on, that's the worst 3 in the entire world. If I had 37 and 5, then I could do exactly the same thing, because I know that 5 and 5, for example, make 10, but 7 is 2 more than that. So I can round and adjust. I can do 35 add 5, which is 40, and then I just put those 2 back on. So I'll have 42. So I can add in my head by rounding and adjusting. I can use the number bonds that I know. This is where being really secure with those number bonds to 10 is really useful. It's super helpful and we can work really quickly with it. And so I can round and adjust. So I can take some off temporarily to make that number bond work, and then I can just add them back on once I've gone over the tens barrier, because that's the bit that's tricky. So if we had the number 46 and we were trying to add to it the number 7, well then I know that, oh, actually I can use a different number factor that I know here, but it does make it harder. Let's stick with the one that we did. I know that 6 and 4. No, I'm going to use the other one. I'm going to do 7 and 3, because then I know that I've got 3 left from here. So I'm going to use my 7 and I'm going to use 3 of these. And then, so 43 add 7 would be the next 10, which is 50. And then I have my 3, which is 53. So mental math changes all the time because I could have done that any number of ways. I could have done that here. I could have said, well, 6 and 4, so I can take 4 off this and I'll have 3 left. And then I could have done it that way. But for me, it was much more simple to see that 6, I know 6 is made up of 3 and 3. So it's far easier for me to use 3 there than it is to try and take 3 from the 7. But in actual fact, either one works. So that is one way that we can add in our head. We can round and adjust. But when we come to adding two-digit numbers together, that becomes a little bit more complicated. We can still use it to help us, but it isn't necessarily our first port of call. We need to think of something else first. So if we are going to add together 23 and 30, let's just flip them, 23 and 32. Here, I'm not breaking any tens barriers. I purposely did that. But I have 10s and 10s and 1s and 1s. Now, let me show you what is going to happen in my head, because it's probably easier to show you than it is to just go and expect you to keep up. So in my head, I am going to do following process. I'm going to add 20 and 30. I'm going to add the 10s first. Then I'm going to add the 1s, the 3 and the 2 that are left. And then I'm going to add these two together because I need all of it to find my answer. So let's do one together and let's see if we can work out what we need to do, and then we'll do it. And with practice, we'll be able to do it really, really quickly. But initially, we need to consider what it is that we need to do. So let's start with 71 and 28. So first of all, what is it that we're going to do? We're going to find the 10s and add those together, and then the 1s and add those together. So we've got 70 and 20. So we're going to do 70, add 20. And if ever you're not sure, you can just count in 10s. So 70, 80, 90. My finger's grubby from rubbing out with it. Okay, so we've done the 10s and now we need to add the 1s. So 1 and 8 that were left. 1 and 8, 9. Oh, am I finished? No, because I need to add these two numbers together. 90 and 9, 99. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I think you guys are doing a really good job with this. Let's see if we can do another one together. Let's see if we can do this one. So we'll do 53 and 48. So, 10s first, 50 and 40. And remember, there are multiple ways of doing that. Either 4 10s, and we'll count on from 50 in 10, so 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Or we can do 5 add 4 and then we can replace the 0 at the end, which is the placeholder. Either option would work. And then the 1s, 3 and 8. Or I need to use some rounding and adjusting for that, because that is going to break a 10s barrier. I know 8 and 2 make 10, and 3 is made up of 2 and 1, so it must be 11. Now I've got to add together 90 and 11. So I'm going to forget that one and add the 10 onto 90, which gives me to 100. But then I need to remember the 101. Can you see how we can break down what looks like it would be quite a tricky number sentence? We can break it down by doing the 10s first, then the 1s, and then by adding them together. And we can use some rounding and adjusting skills to help us be super speedy at doing mental maths. It's exactly the same if we want to work with numbers that are a little bit bigger. So if we want to work with numbers that have got hundreds in, that's fine. We can add the hundreds, we can add the tens, we can add the ones, we can add them all together. Let's try an example of that. So let's do 152 add 203, or let's do 213 because that's possibly a bit mean for a first attempt. So first of all, 100 and 200, brilliant. So let's write it down so it's easier to see. So we're going to do 100 and 200, 300, well done. And then the next column along, 50 and 1. So 50, oh, and 1, 110. So 50 and 10, which is 60. And then the last column, 2 and 3, which is 5. And then all I have to do is add together all of those. Look, 365. And if I write them as a one number rather than having all of the placeholders in, 365, 365. It works exactly the same for hundreds, tens and units as it does for tens and ones numbers. We can add as long as we make sure that we start with the right column. So the reason that I said it was really mean when I did it originally as 203 is because we still have to remember that there's 50 here, but there's 0 here. So we still have to remember that that is 50. So we have 300 and then it's 55. We don't go to another column because there's nothing in there. We have to remember that actually what we are doing is adding 0. We're just adding nothing. And that is quite important to remember. I think you did a really super job at that. Keep practicing. Get people to give you some numbers and see if you can add them up in your head. You should be able to because you did amazingly today. Whatever you do the rest of your day, have a great one. Bye-bye. Hi, so we are out in the garden today because we are doing some planting. I thought we would have a look at the difference between a few different things, how we plant them and how we then care for them and how they will change and develop as they grow and how we have to do different things for different plants. So there are a few different seeds that we'll have a look at. And then I also have some onions and some potatoes. So at the moment it's the tail end of winter, coming into spring now. So now is the perfect time to be planting our seeds and starting them growing, and then they'll move into different containers or different places and we will care for them in slightly different ways before the summer when they will be ready. For the majority of these, they'll be ready to eat. But obviously the flowers are not for eating. But the reason that we plant and grow flowers and then we put them in the allotment, so that's where everything's going, they're all going to the allotment. But the reason that we plant and grow flowers is that flowers attract the bees and the pollinators, and then that's really good for the rest of the plants. So we plant some flowers amongst the fruit and the vegetables to attract the bees and the bugs and the things that we need. For today, we need compost. This is the tiniest amount. I've got a huge bag just here because we'll need lots of it. We're going to be planting lots of things today. So we need some compost, and we also need, we're going to use egg boxes for the potatoes. So let's start with those. Potatoes grow from a single seed potato. So this little guy here, you can see he's growing some little horns. He's what we call chitting. So he's chitting at the moment, and that's sending off the little stemmy bits. You might have seen a potato like this. And this potato we will put in our egg boxes, and we'll put it on the windowsill somewhere warm, and they will chit. So warm, dark space, and they'll grow the little roots and shoots. This here will then turn into like a little feeder for it, and then when they've grown more of these, we will take them to the allotment and we will put them in the bottom of quite a tall bucket. So we'll put a bit of compost in the bottom, bit of soil in the bottom, and then the seed potatoes, and then we just cover them. And then they need water, they need sunshine ideally, but light, and they need to be relatively warm. So when it's still going frosty overnight, we will keep them in like what we call a polytunnel, but it's like a big arch covered in plastic, and it works the same as a greenhouse. It helps to keep them warm because they need to be warm in order to start to grow. And then what will happen to this little seed potato at the bottom of the pot is that the root will go down and the shoots will start to grow up, and on those shoots will be leaves. And each time we go to the allotment and there are leaves on the plant, we will cover them up with more soil, because potatoes grow underground, so they need to be under the soil in order to grow. So each time we go and there are leaves poking through the soil, we'll top up the soil, and then eventually when we get to the top of the pot, these ones are called first early potatoes. So these ones will give us potatoes between June and July. So these ones are an early crop. But there are others, there are second earlies that we can harvest between July and September, and then there are main crop ones that we can harvest between September and October. So for us, if we plant a bag of each, then we can have potatoes of our own that we have grown all the way through the season. And obviously they last a little bit longer too, but each different one is a different type of potato and they're good for different things. So that's the way that we will care for these little guys. And from one seed potato, we'll get loads of potatoes. So this one we will never eat. This one gives all of its energy off into the others, and then the seed potato turns into loads of little potatoes that will grow as long as we water them and we keep them well fed and well nourished, and they have sunlight and they have water. Then this one will turn into lots of other potatoes, and then when it comes to harvesting, they're great fun to harvest because we pull up the plant, we dig them over, and you get little rainfalls of potatoes. So the potatoes grow under the ground, and they need you to keep stacking the compost on top of them in order for them to grow, because they want to grow underground. Certainly not how if you're doing it in like a field, then they build up like a trench on top, but we put ours in pots, and it's exactly the same thing. We just put more and more on. Eventually the leaves will come out of the top, and then we know where the plants are to dig them up to get the potato. So we need to put those out to chit, to grow the little knobbly bits, so that we can then put them into plant, and we should get loads of potatoes from them. Probably the easiest ones to look after are the onions, because these guys come like a little bulb, and all we do is put this in a pot with compost, with the roots facing down and these facing up, and that will just grow and grow and grow into a bigger onion. We won't actually grow these in pots. We will put these straight into either into the ground or into like giant pots, to give them more room to grow and not disturb them, because the onions also grow underground and they don't really like to be disturbed. So we will put these straight into the ground at the allotment, and they will grow bigger and bigger. We'll be able to harvest them later in the year, as long as we water them and it doesn't get too cold, or if it gets really hot, then we have to make sure that we water them more. But those guys are quite easy to look after. So they're bulbs, and we can do that with bulbs. We sometimes do that with daffodil bulbs in the garden. They're really good because they're really early. They're like a good sign of spring, and it's exactly the same thing. They're quite easy to look after. We plant the bulb in the ground in the garden, and the flower will come from that. So bulbs, relatively easy to look after. And for us, for our onions and our garlic, works in the same way. We will plant those straight in the ground and we'll harvest from there. And then we have seeds. Now, different seeds grow in different ways, so I just picked two here that grow differently, and also my flowers. So today we are going to plant into relatively big trays, and we will plant lots of seeds. So we'll fill up the bottom of this tray, and then we'll make holes in it in little rows, because that's the easiest way to keep track of where your plants are. And then we will plant those seeds in there. And then we will put in a little stick with what it is on. So when we plant the parsnips, we'll put a little stick in there with the word parsnip written on it so that we know that that's what it is. Because when they're very little, lots of the leaves look really similar. When the plants get to be a bit bigger, it's a bit easier. So we will plant in those today, but they can't stay in here forever. So we'll plant them in these, and then we will keep them in the warm. It's still relatively cold here, so we'll keep them in the warm. Either we'll put them in the greenhouse with a little heater, or we'll bring them in the house for the first part of the journey, which is what we call the germination, and then we will transfer them. So in here they will grow, and at the moment they are, let me see if I can just put a teeny little hole in this bag and just show you a seed, hopefully can. At the moment these are, so this here is a runner bean seed. Can you see that? Yeah. So that's a runner bean seed, they're quite big, and the parsnip seeds are teeny tiny. So I will open this very, very carefully, and then I can show you the parsnip seeds too. So we can see that the different vegetables have different seeds, and they all look completely different as seeds, which shouldn't really come as a surprise because they look completely different as vegetables too. What we will do today is we will plant them into the big ones, and then they will we will take them inside into the warm, but we could put them in our greenhouse. If it was a bit warmer here, we could just leave them out. But for the first part of the process, it is quite important that they are warm. So they need to be watered and they need to be warm in order to germinate. And what I mean by that is that they will grow a little, they will grow some roots, and they will grow some shoots. So the parsnip seeds are totally different. They're like little flake. See that? It's like a little flake. They look ever so weird. They will grow little roots and little shoots, and they won't grow particularly big or particularly strong in the big trays. They will just grow enough that we can see where the plants are, and then what we will do is we will transfer them, we will repot them, and we will transfer them into slightly bigger ones. So this isn't a very big pot. If I hold it in my hand like this, you can see how big it is. I do have a bigger one, but we'll transfer them into little ones, and we'll just put one plant in each. So whereas these have loads in, we'll just put one plant in each of our little pots, and then we'll care for them in exactly the same way. We will water them, we'll make sure they get sunlight, and then that's where these two seeds differ, because the parsnips are a root vegetable. They grow under the ground, and so from here we will take the little plants to the allotment and we will plant them in the ground. Now parsnips and carrots like quite loose soil because they need to be able to get through it, so we have to dig the soil over first before we, and loosen it up before we plant them. But they will then, from the little pot, they'll go straight into the ground. Whereas these ones, our bean seeds, our runner bean seeds, they'll grow up a little bit, and then we will transfer them into a bigger pot. And then when we've got quite a healthy plant, then we will plant them into the ground, and we will run them up canes. So we have sticks that come up out of the ground, and we have one that runs across the top, and we will run them around them. So we make like a teepee, and we'll run them around them because the plant that these grow off has to hold loads of beans, so it's quite heavy. So they curl around it, and we make sure that they're watered and that they're getting plenty of sunshine. And from there, the beans will grow, the plants grow off, and then you can pick them from there. So the beans will be picked off the plant, and the parsnips and the onions and potatoes are dug up. They're under the ground. Who knew? So there are different ways to look after different seeds and different bulbs or seed potatoes. Each one needs to be looked after in a slightly different way, but the fundamentals are the same. They need warmth, they need light, they need water, and they need compost or soil or something with some nutrients in to help them to grow. If you do any growing, then I hope you do a great job. You'll know what to do now to look after them to start with. Whatever you do the rest of your day, have a great one. I am off to do some planting. Bye.
Hello Angel students. Today we are going to talk about meditation. I'm sure you've probably heard the word before. You may even know what it is and you may even practice it. But for those of you that it is new to, what is meditation? Essentially, meditation is the training of your mind to remain in the present moment. So you can do this in many ways. You can do this by concentrating on your breath, on a particular part of your body, or maybe something that you would like to have. So typically meditation would involve you sitting down or laying down, so long as you're comfortable in that particular position. Some people like to do it with knees bent, some people like to do it with legs crossed. So it really depends on what works for you and what you are comfortable with. And once you're in that position, you try to make sure that you will not be distracted and that there's minimal noise going on or other distractions around you, so that you can concentrate on whatever it is that you have chosen to do so with this particular time in your meditation. So first of all, you would start by deciding if you're going to focus on your breath, on a particular part of your body, if you're going to concentrate on a goal that you want to achieve, or even a specific object or phrase. It could be any particular phrase that makes you feel good, that makes you feel positive, or it could be a specific affirmation. But remember, the goal of meditation overall is to have a sense of calm and peace and relaxation. So it's very important that you choose what is comfortable and what has a good and great deep meaning for you. And while meditation can seem pretty simple, you sit down or you lay down and you try to concentrate, it's a little bit more difficult as a beginner than it may seem. So in the beginning, it would be useful to start small. So start with very small lengths of time to meditate. So you may start with 3 minutes and then go up to 5 minutes and then go and so on and so on. So it really depends with the consistency, because with this, it takes practice. And people use this for many, many different reasons. And a few of those reasons are calm and relaxation, just helping you to feel relaxed. It could be as simple as that. You just want to feel relaxed, you just want to unwind, you just want to calm. Meditation can also reduce anxiety. So if there's anything in particular, anything specific that may be causing you concern or worry, or that you're not particularly happy about, you can go into a state of meditation and just calm down any anxiety that you're feeling. Meditation also helps to improve concentration and focus. Sometimes we can find it hard to concentrate at any particular time for whatever reason, and it doesn't matter what the subject might be either. We just may be feeling a little off and be finding it hard to concentrate. So once you go into meditation and you practice that, because of the discipline that it takes to meditate in itself, you will soon find that your concentration and ability to focus improves. Meditation helps with emotional health and wellness. So if you are feeling as if you need to accept yourself more, you need to love yourself more, you need to have more self-awareness, it will help you with that as well. Because with meditation and your emotional wellness, what happens is you will start to observe your thoughts. You will start to just watch your thoughts. And in doing so, you will learn not to judge your thoughts. You will learn not to come up with any negative sentences or phrases. You will just observe them, and you will be able to decide that that's not the thought that I want, or I do like that thought, so let's encourage more of that. And as for the ones that you don't want, you can turn those around into positive thoughts and self-talk. Another reason meditation is exceptionally great is because it helps with sleep. And on this channel, we have spoken about how important sleep is. Sleep helps with our diet, sleep helps with reducing stress and anxiety. And as we've mentioned before, one of the first points why meditation is so useful is that it helps to reduce anxiety. So once you've got enough sleep and your body's able to repair and restore itself, you are also reducing any anxiety and allowing your body to do what it is supposed to do by giving it that time with regular rest when you sleep. Some people even find it difficult to get to sleep. Some people have issues with getting to sleep. It can take them hours to get to sleep. And if you ever find that you're having difficulty in falling asleep, what the meditation will help you do is get into a practice of getting used to relaxing. Your body just automatically will get used to being in a calm and relaxed state that will help your body naturally fall into a wonderful night's sleep. Meditation has also been scientifically proven to boost your immune system. And we all need our immune systems. Immune systems keep us safe from diseases and viruses, colds, common flu, all of that kind of thing. So when you have a healthy immune system, your body in general, your mind in general is all healthy. So if you have a healthy immune system, you're less likely to need other things to help to boost your immune system because you already have it. So the practice of meditation, which helps to reduce stress and anxiety, also helps because of those things to boost your immune system. Meditation helps with your overall well-being. It induces all those good feelings. It brings you calm, joy, happiness, and a peaceful feeling. So whenever you're feeling overwhelmed about anything, if you should have anything come up to worry you, you can take as little as 90 seconds, a minute and a half, and just go into a meditation and perhaps recite an affirmation or concentrate on your breathing, because those things will keep you in this particular moment. If you continue to repeat something, you will stay right here. You won't go to whatever has been worrying you or what happened yesterday or last week. You will be right here. If you concentrate on your breathing, you will be right here. And I think that breath is a very, very good place to start. And why do I say that? I say that because we all breathe. We all need to breathe. Our breath is one of those most important components that keep us alive. Without the ability to breathe in oxygen, we wouldn't be here. And everybody breathes. And we take it for granted a lot of the time when we're breathing because we do it without thinking. It's very automatic. And that's okay. It's not just you, we all do. But breath work in meditation is also an opportunity of gratitude, because as I mentioned, without breath we wouldn't be here. So we're going to go into a meditation, okay, and we're going to do it for about 5 minutes. And what I want us to do is concentrate on our breathing. First of all, when we're breathing, it is important that we do it correctly. Now, how do you breathe correctly? Crazy, right? But we do it so automatically that we don't usually pay it any mind. When we do is probably when we're out of breath or when we can't catch our breath, okay? So what I mean is, and it might help to put your hand on your lower stomach to get a sense by feeling. So when we breathe in through the nose, our stomach should go out. So when we inhale, stomach out, you see, chest comes up, and when we exhale, it all goes down. Okay, now I prefer to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Some other people prefer to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. It is completely up to you what you are more comfortable with. It is just important that when you breathe in, your stomach comes out, chest comes up, and when you exhale, chest goes down, stomach goes in. Okay. The reason I say it's helpful to put your hand on your stomach is because, you know, if you breathe in and you're trying to do that and your stomach goes in, do you see how restricting that is? But when you breathe in with the stomach coming out, it's not restricting at all. And out, stomach goes in. Okay, so it's very important that for the health of your body, as well as your entire immune system and all of the organs within us that do a lot of work, lungs, airways, digestive system. Our bodies are an amazing, amazing machine. Without some of the things happening automatically, could you imagine if it was left to us to remind our bodies to do everything that it does, even to breathe? And that's why it's important to be so grateful that that is so automatic. So I would love for you to find somewhere that you can sit comfortably or lay down comfortably. It's completely up to you. You could sit in a chair with your back straight, feet firmly on the ground, and you can place one hand on your stomach or both, and the other hand on your leg maybe, or wherever it's comfortable. You can lay down or you can sit with your legs crossed. It's completely up to you. Just get comfortable. Just be comfortable, okay? And what I'm going to ask you to do in this meditation is pay attention only to your breathing, okay? You're only going to pay attention to your breathing. And anytime you start to wander off, your mind starts to wander off. It might wander off with a noise out there. It might wander off with you hearing a car beeping. It might wander off with you thinking about something and getting lost in a whole different conversation in your head, or a scenario or something that happened earlier or yesterday or anything. And as soon as your thoughts drift away from your breath, that is an invitation and indication to go right back to your breath. It's not wrong. You are not making any mistakes. You are not doing anything wrong. It is just an invitation and indication to bring your mind back to breathing. Now, if you're uncomfortable with closing your eyes, please just gaze down. You can just gaze down so that nothing around you is going to distract you or disturb you. Okay, so if you need to pause the video to get into position, that's absolutely fine. Feel free to do so. And we are going to go into a 5-minute meditation. Okay, so we're going to start the meditation, and what we're going to do to begin is take some deep breaths. We're going to take 3 deep breaths, and in that we're going to have one hand on the stomach or both, and you can place the other hand, if you're not using both hands, wherever you feel comfortable. So that could be on your lap or just beside you loosely. Okay, so remember, when we inhale through the nose, stomach comes out, chest comes up, and when we exhale, all of that goes back down and in. Okay, so we're going to do that 3 times. Ready? And inhale. And exhale. Inhale again. And exhale. Last one, inhale in and out. Okay, so for the remainder of our 5 minutes, you're going to close your eyes or just gaze down so that nothing can interrupt you around you, so your eyes aren't distracted by anything going on around you. Okay, and we're just going to concentrate on breathing. You don't have to continue to do deep breaths. You can if you want, and if you're comfortable with it, that's an amazing practice, but it doesn't matter if you are not ready for that at this time. Just take your breath as it would naturally come. Okay, just remember to always come back to your breathing if you get distracted. That is your invitation, just to come back to your breathing. And when you come back to your breathing, remember and just feel your stomach coming in and out and in and out as you inhale and you exhale. Okay, so let's begin. Eyes closed or softly gaze down to the ground, and let's concentrate on our breathing. Continue to be guided by your breath as you breathe in and out, as you feel the rise and fall of your stomach beneath your hand. And that is our 5 minutes up. You've done amazing. No matter how many times, if any, you got distracted or you started to think about things, I'm glad that you brought yourself back to your breath. And I hope that you will continue to practice this. Remember, you can do this for as little as 90 seconds every day and you will see significant changes. But thank you for joining me today, Angel students. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Hi everybody, here's the video for Angel School. One foot wide. Let's do quick exercise for the joints first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, exercise your knee joint. 1, 2, 3, change. 1, 2, 3, change. 1, 2, 3. And relax your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep your elbow up. Hands reach out far as you can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One hand high as you can, one hand lower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put your elbow look back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Arms straight. Relax your shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Shoulders down, head up, neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Change. 1, 2. Change. 1, 2. Rolling your shoulders, full circle. 1, 2, 3. Change. 1, 2, 3. Relax your back 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so today we're gonna do some strength exercise first, some basic punch body movement, comfort stance, and some stretch and routine. Yeah? First we do 10 push-ups. Keep your arms straight, legs straight, body straight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Now let's practice some basic punching technique. Start with 2 foot wide. Keep your foot point straight. Clench your fist. Punch forward. Deep breathing when you clench your fist. Drop your elbow. 2, 3. Feel the movement. 4, 5. Elbow and punch like bow and arrows. Hands reach out far as you can. 6. Breathing in, clench your fist. Breathing out, punch. 7, 8, 9, 10. Little bit power. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Inhale, hands up. And exhale. Second one we do Kung Fu stance. First one, my walk 3.5 foot wide. 1, 2, 3.5. Bend to your knees. Keep your hands in front of your body. Keep your elbow on your knee. Breathing in, look forward. Breathing out to your body. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Let's do the marble stance training 10 times. Follow me. Keep your face in your waist. Jump. 1. To do the first Kung Fu stance. And jump up. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9, 10. Second Kung Fu stance. Front leg bend, back leg straight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, marble change the combo. So keep your face, your waist, bend your knee, back leg push the floor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, good. Now let's do one stretching. Now we do the kick and the Kung Fu move routines. First stretch, turn your face, slightly bend your knees. 1 foot forward, hands on your knee. When you feel stretch, deep breathing, or you can try use your hands, grab your shoe. 1, 2, when you feel your hamstring hurt, use your breathing to stretch. 2, breathing in and breathing up. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, change leg. Stretch your hamstring 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Relax your leg. Let's do the kick. Down pedal. Face on your waist. Use your right hand to touch your right shoes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, change leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. On our last session we did the routine, we did 2 movements. Today we're going to do practice together. Start with your elbow strike. Yeah. Clench your face. Marble, both leg bend. Punch. Then temper your kick. Marble, block. And punch. Stop. Okay. I'm gonna face this way. Go this way. It's more easier for you to copy. First, elbow strike. 2, first Kung Fu stance. Marble, both leg bend. 2, punch. 3, kick. Continue. Right hand block, left hand punch, and stop. Okay, 2 more times. 1, elbow strike. 2, punch. 3, kick. Continue. Punch. Okay, last one. Follow me. 1, elbow strike. 2, both leg bend. 3, punch forward. 4, kick. 5, marble block. 6, block and punch. Okay, well done. So let's practice 3 breathing exercises. Follow me, about 2 foot wide. Remember, when you're breathing in, it's like you collect energy into your body, help your body recovering faster. Breathing out, whole body relax. Breathing in, breathing out through your nose. One more time, breathing in and breathing out. Last one, breathing in through your nose and breathing out. Okay, let's finish here today.
Please like and subscribe so you can get more and more lessons.